Hello and welcome to Carmichael Clan Radio, the official podcast of Clan Carmichael USA. Welcome back to episode 21 of Carmichael Clan Radio. I'm your host, Scott Carmichael. On today's episode, I'm joined by one of the founding members of Clan Carmichael USA, Arthur Carmichael. Arthur, or Art, as most of us call him, has been involved in Clan Carmichael USA since day one, and is one of the most visible and respected members of Clan Carmichael USA. On the show, we talk about how he first became involved in Clan Carmichael when few in the United States had even heard of Clan Carmichael. We also learn about Arthur's role in the creation of the Clan Carmichael Honor Guard and what its role has been to Chief Richard since its inception. Later, we talk about how the Carmichael Gatherings in Scotland have changed over the years. And finally, we hear what Arthur's hopes are for Clan Carmichael USA as it moves into the future. Talking with Arthur is always interesting, and this time was no different. Each time is a reminder of how many fascinating Clan Carmichael stories there are, still waiting to be told. A few things before we begin. Clan Carmichael still has copies remaining of the Carmichael Gathering 40th Anniversary Limited Edition print. Each copy is signed and numbered by the artist Katie Carmichael, and pays homage to the hard work and steadfast leadership from our Chief Richard Carmichael over the last 40 years of Carmichael Gatherings at the Carmichael Estate in Scotland. To get yours, visit the Clan Carmichael USA website or follow the link below to secure your copy of this important piece of Clan Carmichael history. Or you can just show up to a Highland Games where Clan Carmichael USA has a tent and buy a copy in person. I have my print matted and framed, and it hangs in my home office to show everyone how proud I am to be part of Clan Carmichael. If you're interested in learning about becoming a member of Clan Carmichael USA, visit the Clan Carmichael USA website at the link below or visit www.clancarmichaelusa.com. If you've not become a member yet, we hope you'll consider joining and becoming part of one of the best clans today. And now, let's get to the show. All right, so Arthur Carmichael, welcome to Carmichael Clan Radio. Appreciate you taking the time to join me today online here.
My pleasure.
I know we've been trying to line this up for a little bit, and since I had started this show talking with members who have been around Clan Carmichael for a long time, I've been wanting to sit down with you and to go over some things and talk about your experiences over the years at Clan Carmichael. So again, thanks for working me into your schedule. But well, let's start at the first. I think the best question to start out with is just, I know you've been involved in Clan Carmichael USA since the beginning, and I guess really, with Clan Carmichael, International, Richard's Clan Carmichael, it kind of got started around the same time. I know just a little bit earlier, but tell me how you got involved in Clan Carmichael. Is that something that you grew up being aware of?
No, what happened actually was my godfather, my father's older brother, received a Clan Carmichael invitation from Richard in early 1983, and at the time he was 83. He was born in 1900. Anyway, he was not in good health, too old, and so he said, "Please, you need to go. Want our family?" He had done our family tree. He was way back when, in the late 30s and 40s, he put together a family tree, and always interested in our heritage. And so he said, "You must go for me." And I said, "Okay, I'll do that." So my wife and I had never been to Europe. So we had high-tech clients in Germany and France. So the company paid for me to go visit those clients in Germany and France. And then I dropped the car and took the train to London and rented another car, went all around, went to Wales, took the ferry over to Ireland, went all around Ireland and then into Northern Ireland. And we took the same car, the ferry, over to Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to Scotland and we drove to the Tinto Hotel, which is, Tinto Hill is right next to Carmichael. And that's where the program was for the first gathering in 1983. So my wife and I walked in. Of course, we were a little late from the ferry, and the welcoming dinner had already started, and Richard was talking. And so we came in the room, and the first table was a table of 6, and there were only 4 people there. So I asked the gentleman at the head of the table, I said, "Can my wife and I join you?" And he said, "Please do." I said, "Thank you. My name is Arthur Carmichael. We've come 9,000 miles to be here." And he stood up and said, "Well, my name is Arthur Carmichael, and we've come 16,000 miles to be here from Auckland, New Zealand." And I was immediately hooked. I had met another Arthur Carmichael from across the world. I was just, wow. I couldn't believe it. And the two Arthurs really had fun at that whole gathering. It was quite the thing. And of course, I met Alana at that gathering. Her name was Carmichael at the time. And she was with her grandmother. And I think we are the only 2 that still participate or still alive and go, that were there the first time.
Okay.
Everybody else has passed on that was there the first time. And so it's just the 2 of us that have been to all of them. But as I say, I got all excited about it, and I came home to my godfather, my uncle, and said, "This is fantastic." And I met Mickey Carmichael, who was all excited as well. And he was sort of doing some tents and things, but we really weren't an organization yet. It was just a group. And there was a Robert Carmichael, who I also met there, and he was from Pennsylvania. And he said, we ought to incorporate and have Clan Carmichael Incorporation. And I said, if we do, why don't we become a 501c3, and we'll give a scholarship, and then we qualify for a 501c3. And so that's what we started to work on. And it took a while, but because I was on the board at the University of Oregon, I understood why you could have a 501c3 and with a scholarship. So I was automatically named chairman of the scholarship committee, and I think I've been that for the last 40 years. Or it isn't 40, it's probably 35 or 33 or something. We incorporated, I think, in the early 90s, like 91 maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How much longer Clan Carmichael USA became official?
Official, it was about 1991, I think. And it was Robert. We are incorporated in Pennsylvania because of Robert.
Okay.
And we are a 501c3 because of Arthur. And then Mickey was, actually, I think he backed off, and Robert became president, the first official president of Clan Carmichael USA Incorporated. And then it really took off. And we were doing all these games, and Richard came to Grandfather Mountain. After we were incorporated, one of the first visits he made was to Grandfather Mountain. And then he went to Glasgow, Kentucky, and visited those games. And that's the games where we introduced the Honor Guard. And he's had the Honor Guard every time he makes an official visit. The Honor Guard has been present everywhere he's gone. Of course, he always has his standard bearer, too. I've become the standard bearer in the past, I'd say 10 years. And others, I've had others do the Honor Guard. I still am the master sergeant for the honor guard, bringing all the uniforms.
Okay.
All you have to have is your own tie and kilt, and I have all the rest, and helmets and things.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've seen the pictures of what is the honor guard. That's with the white helmets and the green coats. I actually never knew that until you just mentioned that, what exactly that was. Tell me more about like what the honor guard is, because I am not really familiar with it. What are their responsibilities and duties?
You're looking at the founder of the honor guard.
Okay.
And I got the idea in New Zealand. And those are New Zealand helmets. I bought them in New Zealand and brought them home and had the band, the Carmichael plaid band put around them. And then the Carmichael badge put on the front of the helmet. And then we had more, we went from dirks to actually swords. And so we had Carmichael ties. And the first time we did it was his second visit to the United States. And then after that, we did it to all of them and all of the visits to Scotland. So all 11 international gatherings since the early 90s, the honor guard has been there.
Okay.
And it was because, the chief is the main leader of the clan. He had the honor guard there to help make him official, along with his standard bearer. And everywhere he went, we went. And the Scottish press just ate it up.
Yeah.
Everywhere he marched, we were right there. And, they were taking pictures of us all the time with Richard, especially when we were in the Edinburgh Castle, in the marching. It was very nice.
So that was a creation of yours? Is that not something other clans do?
No.
Okay. Like I said, I'd seen the pictures, and I always just assumed that was something that other clans did also. I didn't know that was something that unique to Clan Carmichael.
It is.
That's cool.
At least I've never seen it. Somebody might have copied it, but not that I know.
Okay.
There were a few other chiefs that weren't very happy about the fact that Richard got an honor guard, and they didn't. That was well known.
Those chiefs may have created honor guards of their own now.
Yeah. So then Richard came to the games in the San Francisco Island Games, and which is a huge one. And we marched there, and we marched at, of course, Stone Mountain, where we've had our annual meetings. And he's been the honored chief there, I think, twice. And we were there for that. The first one, of course, as I said, was Grandfather Mountain. And he and I ran in the Kilted Mile on his first visit.
Okay.
And, I was I was around 50 years old, I think, at the time. And he's 10 years younger than I am. But we still did okay. We still finished in fine fashion in the Kilted Mile at Grandfather Mountain. We surprised the hell out of each other being as in as good a shape as we were, back in those days.
Do they still do that at Grandfather Mountain?
I don't know. I've only been to Grandfather Mountain twice.
Okay.
Both times Richard was there, and I haven't. I don't know. I bet I haven't been there in 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had never heard of the Kilted Mile, so I'll have to look into that and see if that's something they still do there also.
Okay.
Not that I want to enter it, but my running days are behind me. You mentioned that you were the standard bearer also. Is that something that have you always been the standard bearer?
No.
Okay.
In the beginning, it was a fellow from Canada who was the standard bearer, and I was the captain of the honor guard. They introduced me as the captain of the honor guard. He was the standard bearer.
Okay.
And I was that all the way up until he passed away. And then I became the standard bearer, and others took my place at the honor guard. The original honor guard, if you think back, I'm the only one still alive. Helton Carmichael, William Carmichael Bulger, the attorney he just passed away. Cliff.
Oh, yeah. Lowry.
Yeah. Cliff Lowry, Helton Carmichael, William Carmichael Bulger, and myself. Those were the original honor guard. And They've all deceased now.
Have you replaced all those positions?
Oh yeah, yeah, and the next generation, my son, William Carmichael Bulger's nephew,
Mm-hmm.
My son-in-law and whoever is available that is there, and I bring the extra ties, and so if they don't have a tie, I'll whip one on them, and I bring all the helmets and everything needed.
Okay.
I'm thinking that this time, it's time for me to stop being the master sergeant of the equipment, and I should pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah.
Because who knows how much longer I might be around.
Well, we hope a long time.
Yeah.
Are you going to the gathering this June?
14 of us.
Okay.
I got 14 on my list.
Okay.
Both daughters and my 2 granddaughters and Bulger's nephew and his wife and 2 kids. And then the only other male, it's really odd. My father had 7 children, 6 boys and 1 girl. And of those 7, they only had 7 grandkids. And there were only 4 boys, but only 1 other Carmichael. And he's 85 years old. He's never been to Scotland. He lives in Cape Canaveral. He was in the space program. And he's retired now, but he still lives there. And so he's coming with his niece and his niece's daughter. And so of the 7 of us, 5 of us are still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the only other male besides my brother. And he's 85, my brother is 84, and I'm 82. And so he's coming. And so there'll be 14 of us from our family.
It's a good sized group.
Yes.
You guys can almost run out the entire airplane.
Well, we're all coming in at different times on different planes, and we always stay at the same house. You have not been there before, have you?
Right. I've not been.
Yeah. So we stayed at what they called the gardener's house, which is one of the newer structures. You know that Chief Richard rents out all the old sharecroppers' houses because he operates the agricultural program all as one unit. But in the old days, his uncle, who was Lord Carmichael, it was all sharecropping. They had many, many different farms. And I think there's only 2,000 acres now or something, but there used to be 19,000 acres. And so now that he runs the whole place, they put modern plumbing into these old structures and they rent them out. And the Londoners love it. They come up all the time. Well, we were staying in the gardener house and I stepped out this door and there's this beautiful view of the pasture down below with Tinto Hill right in back. What a view. I said, my God, this needs a deck.
Yeah.
I think I ought to build a deck. So I went to the lumberyard and I asked for supplies and material to build a deck. And the guy looked at me and he said, what is a deck? And I said, you don't know what a deck is? And he said, there are no decks in Scotland. When I explained what it was, he said, there are no decks in Scotland. It rains too much. So I went, wow, okay. So I had the lumber milled. And, if you build a deck here, it's usually a 2x6 that you use on decks. Well, I couldn't get a 2x6. The closest thing so that deck is made with 3x5. It's not 2x6, it's 3x5.
Yeah.
But I brought a kid with me from over here and we built the deck. The deck is 30 feet long by 10 feet wide. It was the whole side of the house. And you walk out this door and you're on the deck and you look right at Tinto Hill. And so I said, okay, this deck needs a barbecue. And they said, a what?
Yeah.
I said, a barbecue. They don't have outdoor barbecues there. It's outside. Well, why would you? So where in the hell are you going to find a barbecue? Well, there was a Costco there.
Oh, really?
And I knew I could go to Costco and order it, and they would deliver it to the store. So I did. So now the deck had a barbecue. And of course, Richard raises beef, lamb, and venison.
Mm-hmm.
What fun to have venison burgers, lamb burgers, and beef burgers and have a taste off.
Yeah.
That on that barbecue, that became so popular. Of course, here came the rain. So what are you going to do with the deck, the barbecue, and the taste off with the hamburger? And so I went back to Costco and I got those 10 by 10 pop-ups. So 3 pop-ups right together, and we could use the deck for our barbecue and hamburger taste off. And it was very, very popular while we were there. And Richard loved it because he was able to, everybody tried the lamb, tried the venison, and tried the beef. Of course,
Yeah.
the lamb always wins.
Oh, does it?
Everyone, the lamb wins. Yeah, it.
Is that barbecue still on the deck at that cottage?
No, that house, since it had the deck, is one of their most popular houses.
I'm sure.
It's filled all the time. But the Carmichael equipment, the barbecue and the pop-ups are in a garage, stored in a garage, a couple hundred feet away.
Okay.
I don't think he allows others to use it. I paid for it all. I bought it all.
Well, I wondered when you were telling me that, I was thinking that I'm sure that is the most popular cottage with a deck and a barbecue outside. If it was still there, that would make it one of the most attractive rentals on the estate.
The deck still does. People really enjoy the deck.
I'm sure. Is that the only cottage still that has a deck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only one that really has that kind of view too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then.
And the privilege I have for building it and buying it and building it and supplying it is that whenever I'm there, I have first right of refusal to the deck house, the gardener's house.
That's handy.
Yeah.
That's nice. I've looked through the cottages on their website to try to decide which one I would like to rent, and I'll have to look at that one more closely now. I'm wanting to go to the estate in an off year, like not one of the years of the gatherings, just to have to kind of see what it's like in a normal time.
I've probably been there 4 or 5 times when the gathering wasn't on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very enjoyable. You can go from there, you can go to St. Andrews in an hour. You're 34 miles from Glasgow. You're 32 miles from Edinburgh.
Okay.
There's just all kinds of things that you can do. And so I brought a whole group of my friends over, and we took 3 different houses, and I rented a bus. It was a 24-passenger bus, and I took them all around. I took them everywhere. Yeah, the Highlands, we went everywhere.
Yeah, there are so many places, because I've not been to Scotland yet. There's so many places that I want to see that's kind of what I decided that I should probably go in an off year, not a gathering year, just to see more things while I'm there. Although,
like the Loch Ness Monster, everybody's got to see the Loch Ness Monster.
yeah, the last interview I did on this show, I was talking with a lady who does travel planning in Scotland, and
yeah, I was listening to part of it.
Okay, yeah, she recommended going to Loch Ness. So, tell me, how have the gatherings changed over the years since that first one in 1983? Do they look different now, or are they pretty much still the same?
No, they're different. Practically every international gathering, after the gathering, Richard had a bus tour that went for another 4 or 5 days after the gathering, and went off to the Highlands, went off to all over. And I'd been on 3 or 4 of them. I didn't go on them all. I went to the Hebrides. I'd been to a lot of them. And of course, I can do my own single malt tour too. I know exactly where they all are, where Glenmorangie is, where McCallum is. I can take you to St. Andrews and over to McCallum in one day and back to Carmichael without a problem.
Nice.
That's a neat little tour.
That would be.
And everybody says, well, why do you want to go to St. Andrews? Well, there's a ruined castle there at St. Andrews that is in church and cathedral that are quite nice to see. And then, of course, you can go and drive by the golf course and see the little bridge that everybody always sees. And you're only 150 feet away from that bridge. And that's pretty neat too. You got to know where to park and how to do it, but you can't. You don't have to play golf to go see the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then from there you can get over to McCallum pretty easily and do some scotch tasting. And the Stirling Castle, that's one day I can go to St. Andrews, go to McCallum, go to the Stirling Castle, back through Glasgow in Lanark and back to Carmichael. That's a one good day tour.
It'd be a nice tour.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Stirling Castle is one of those things that I definitely want to go see. I think from Stirling Castle, you can look across the valley and see the Wallace Monument also.
Oh, yes, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. So where would you, this kind of fits into what we're talking about, how, Clan Carmichael's changed over the years and, how the gatherings have changed.
Yeah.
I'm sure that.
I didn't finish how they've changed.
Yeah.
We have games now. We sort of have our own, class of Highland games.
Oh, yeah.
That's a new feature that we didn't have before. We aren't traveling as much this time as we used to. We used to have 2 or 3 days on buses. This year, I think we only have one where we go out. We didn't have the welcoming dinner was at the hotel, and that was it. Now we have more things in the tent that he's bought, and so that's changed. There's more things going on at Carmichael than there used to be.
I'm sure that probably works a little bit better with Chief Richard, where he can stay in place and not be on the road so much. I'm sure that it's an exhausting 3 days for him. So I'm sure if he can stay put longer, that makes it a little bit easier.
Well, when we went on tour, I was always the other driver. He was one driver and I was the other.
Okay. Was it 2 buses, or did you guys take turns?
Well, I had the bigger bus. I had a Class A chauffeur's license. I worked as a bus driver in college, and during the winter I was a school bus driver, and then I was an 18-wheeler in the summer. That's how I worked my way through college. I paid my own way through college, and I did it by being a truck driver in the summer and a bus driver in the winter. So I had a Class A chauffeur's license.
Okay. Well, where would you like to see Clan Carmichael in 10 or 15 years? I know it's hard to envision what changes are down the road, but is there anything that you hope to see change?
I've seen it. It's your generation taking over and doing such a good job. And because you've proved that it can be done, and we're back, I thought we were ruined. Social media ruined us. And you've proved that's not true. And so my whole thing is, we didn't do a very good job, in my opinion, of making sure that we pass it to the next generation. And that is what is so important, is to get the next generation involved so they will pass it to the next generation after them.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what I've seen it almost die. I've seen it get going, we got all excited. We were younger, we got all excited. We all got older and we started dying, and people like Billy Mack and all those people are too old to really get involved. And we didn't do a very good job of passing it down to the next generation. We did pass it down, but social media took over and almost ruined it. So now I'm so happy that you guys have brought it back and are doing a good job. And I want to make sure that you think about passing it on after you You do a good, exciting job, and we just have to figure out how we can get the next generation involved.
Yeah, that seems to be the challenge. Rocky Rager, the USA Kilts owner, he mentioned this, and it made a lot of sense to me. He said most people don't get involved in their clan heritage until either their parents die, or or until they're older. And so I think that is the challenge, and that's something that we've talked about a lot. Is how do you get a younger generation interested and involved before their parents? Before they become 50, 60 years old. How do you get 20-year-old, 30-year-old people involved? And so that's something we've been thinking about a lot lately, and trying to make happen, trying to use things like this podcast to reach out to different groups of people. We've been talking about some other projects and other things that might bring on new Carmichaels who are aware of their heritage, their Scottish heritage, and some people who have even been to the estate and who are excited about being a Carmichael, but they never make that step to joining Clan Carmichael. And so we're doing a lot of thinking about that, about how to reach out to those people and kind of get them off the fence and become members and become active. I think it may not be that you guys didn't do a good job at handing it off to the next generation. It may just be that that's the constant dilemma, the constant problem that has to be solved, is how do you get younger people involved and interested in, family heritage. But we're trying.
Well, it's a topic that we should have been talking about a lot more, and we didn't. And so now it's the topic that you asked my feelings, and that's the real important topic.
Well, I think you're right. I think that's even for me, that's where I'd like to see it also in 10 or 15 years, is a lot of younger members and, that next generation being involved already, not just coming on later. That way when people are on the board, they've been around for, 15 years already. I'd like to see that too. So we're definitely on the same page on that one. And it's something that we are talking about now. So hopefully it doesn't go through the cycles of activity and inactivity. What would your advice be to new Clan Carmichael USA members who are wanting to get involved? I know that I think I was lucky. I'd always kind of wanted to be involved in Clan Carmichael, and it just so happened that there was kind of a need for someone to be really involved. I feel like I was lucky in sort of a unique case, and Leah also, that, we both came in and went straight to these fairly important positions. I was doing memberships and she was doing the newsletter. But what would your advice be to someone new to Clan Carmichael USA who was wanting to get involved, but there wasn't an immediate opening for them to do something? What would your advice be for someone like that?
Probably to find in the Highland Games and run a tent.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed what you find out about distant relatives, etc., at tents that come. And my cousin, my first cousin, William Carmichael Bolger, that came with me practically everywhere. I paid for it, but he came. And he ran the Pleasanton Highland Games in San Francisco. He ran a tent there for years and really enjoyed it. And it kept him very involved running the tent. And you were at Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
It was a neat experience, wasn't it?
It is. I was actually really surprised about how much I enjoyed it. I knew that it would be something I would enjoy. I didn't know how much I would enjoy it. I've tried to talk people into coming to the Highland Games also, and for some reason it seems hard to talk people into that. Maybe it doesn't sound very fun on the outside. It's like, okay, we'll go sit around in the woods, in that case, around a tent. But it is way more fun than that. There's something you have to just kind of go and see for yourself.
Yeah. Have you, I told you my godfather, with a little help from my father, did the family tree. And they actually published it in 1944. And then I redid it in 1982. And then I've redone it in 96, I think. Have you ever seen it, what I put together?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it starts out.
Oh, okay.
It says up here that Donald Carmichael, born in 1708, came to the United States in 1738 on the good ship Happy Raven.
Huh.
And I'll bring a copy of this because I'm kind of a little bit proud of it. I mean, I let's see. Oh, the last time I did it was in 2016. I wrote it up. So I've got it, it's 6 years old now. And I've been keeping it up. And again, it's something, who's going to take over for me, and keep it going. I don't know.
Yeah, bring that. Are you going to be at Stone Mountain this year?
My plan, I'm an emeritus trustee at the University of Oregon. I was the first out-of-state president the board ever had. And I'm emeritus, and they're having a big meeting, of the old UO ambassadors, they call this. It starts on the 19th, and Stone Mountain's the 20th and 21st, 22nd.
Okay.
But I think with you, new generation, being involved, I'd rather support you and go to Stone Mountain, I think.
Okay.
I have them both down. And, of course, I get to go to a University of Oregon, Washington State. And I love to beat Washington State.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's okay. I think I will go to Stone Mountain.
Well, I'll be there also. It'll
Yeah.
be good to see you there again.
Grandfather is middle of July, right?
I think it's the first weekend after the 4th of July, if I'm remembering that correct.
Yeah, and I've got a board meeting that week.
Okay.
I started the Recreation Commission at our HOA. I've got that castle that I built, and I am on the board there now. And when I was mayor, our Recreation Commission did a hell of a good job in our city.
Mm-hmm.
And this HOA has its own fire department, its own security department. It's just like another little city. So I started the Recreation Committee. It's not a commission, it's a committee. And one of the reasons is the tennis players and the pickleball players aren't agreeing with each other. And pickleball is so much more popular now than tennis, but the tennis players won't let the pickleball players. So we started the Recreation Commission to try and bring the two together and work closer together. And I'd have a meeting that Saturday. So,
okay, it may be your biggest battle yet is settling the pickleball tennis.
So, even in the city where I was mayor here in Los Altos,
mm-hmm.
All the pickleball players had to go to Sunnyvale and Palo Alto to play because there was nothing in our town. And finally, a week ago, yesterday, they opened the first pickleball facility here in town. So we went by it this morning to see it. And it's really temporary. Where you have 2 tennis courts, you can have 6 pickleball courts.
Mm-hmm.
But they come out on their lines are yellow, and all 6 of the nets are on temporary stands, and they were all moved aside. The tennis players were playing there this morning where the pickleball players are supposed to be. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
I need to get out there and try it. I've not played pickleball yet. I was a tennis coach at the high school, and I played tennis in the past, and so I've always been kind of partial to tennis. But
you and me both.
Yeah.
I used to be pretty damn good at it.
Yeah.
I was fast.
Were you?
Yeah, I was one of the fastest.
Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today and to talk to me a little bit. I know that my listeners will enjoy hearing from you. And I tell you what we'll do is at Stone Mountain, I'll bring my recording equipment. We'll sit down and talk again while we're there and get caught up, see how everything's going with you.
Yeah. My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thanks again to Arthur Carmichael for making time to join me on today's episode of Carmichael Clan Radio. I always enjoy sitting down to talk about Clan Carmichael's history and to hear the stories of the past 40-plus years of Clan Carmichael. Each time, I'm reminded of how proud I am to be involved in another generation of one of the oldest clans in existence. Please help Carmichael Clan Radio continue to grow and reach new listeners by sharing the episodes and spreading the word about the show. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or subscribe to the Clan Carmichael USA Substack page at clancarmichael.substack.com. By subscribing to the Substack page, each time I release a new episode, it will be delivered right to your inbox. So be sure to get signed up to receive all the latest from Clan Carmichael. And finally, if you like what we're doing, please leave a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or leave feedback in the comments section on Substack. I love reading your comments, and those reviews help to promote the show, making it easier for others to find us. And it also lets me know that you're enjoying the shows. So go ahead and drop me a comment in the comment section on Substack. So until next time, toujours prêt. See you soon.